Okay, hey guys. So, I ran out of time to make a video and get the editing in and stuff like that all done uh before Tuesday. It's now Wednesday. Um got home from work, touched up the makeup. We're going to try this format, see how this goes. Not going to edit this. What you get is what you get. So, with that in mind, let's read. I'm afraid of the dark. I've always gotten scared of the dark easily. Maybe it was the stories my older brother used to tell me when we were little, always explaining in depth how there were monsters under my bed, and how if I left my closet open at night, I would be dragged screaming into the darkness. Looking back now, I can see how foolish I must have looked to my parents, such as peeing in the bed the first time my nightlight burned out, or the time I had gathered all the pillows in the house to build a fortress, which I then defended with a flashlight and plastic hockey stick. I was always so skittish and terrified of the things that were never there when I awoke. It must have been hell on my parents to have raised such a frightened child. Perhaps I would have overcome my fear in high school years, if not for the admittedly funny antics of my older brother, where he had hidden himself under my bed and convinced several of his friends, my girlfriend included, to hide inside my closet. So, to make sure the plan came off without a hitch, and to prevent anyone from spoiling the joke, he called my cell phone and told me to meet him at the local gas station to pick up some chips and pop for our zombie movie night. I was so gullible to fall for his trick, thinking he just wanted some snacks and drinks for us and our dates that night. It was about an hour later that I finally realized he wasn't showing up to the gas station, and I was. Hmm? And it was starting to get dark. So I grabbed our junk food and started heading home, trying to keep ahead of the long dark shadows that were dragging themselves across the town as the sun began to settle behind the hillside. Luckily, my fear of darkness didn't manage to break my nerves, so I was able to climb the front steps and get inside just as the last of the light in the sky went dark. But there I was, alone, in a dark house. I dropped the snacks at the door and went fumbling desperately through the house in search of a light switch, yet every switch I hit did nothing. It had been the work of my brother's friend Derek. He had flipped the breakers the moment they had seen me jogging toward the house. But at that time, I was just a frightened kid searching for the safety of light. Thump! I heard a noise upstairs. Thump! I heard it again. Thump! I ran to the closet and searched for a flashlight in the blinding darkness, my hands fumbling around as I desperately rummaged through coats and shoes, until my hand finally found that sweet little tool. Click. I ignited a beam of light into the house with a single thumb movement, giving me the sense of safety I had so desired. Using my newfound weapon against the darkness, I took a deep breath and made my way towards the stairs. So I proceeded slowly, taking each step one at a time, trying to be as brave as I could, during which it seemed as if an eternity had gone by, until at last I reached the top. Suddenly, all my bravery disappeared, because my door was open. Every other door in the hallway was closed, except for my own. I gripped the flashlight tightly in my fist, and I made my way towards the doorway. Shining my weapon of light into the room, I took several small steps into the room, when suddenly I heard a noise, sending my entire brain into a frenzy of terrified thoughts, causing me to instinctively drop the flashlight and dive into my bed. Only after I had wrapped myself into a ball under my covers did I hear a soft sound coming from my closet, a sound almost like giggling, but stifled under someone's hand. But before my brain could translate and process the information, a pair of hands reached up from below and grabbed me. I screamed and attempted to get free, when suddenly I felt the covers around my body become tight and I was pulled shrieking onto the floor, upon which time I pissed my pants and started bawling my eyes out. As my brother emerged from under the bed laughing, and everyone else was standing around me having a fit of laughter that was turning faces red, I realized what had happened. After that night, my girlfriend broke up with me, possibly out of embarrassment, and possibly because the story spread throughout school like a wildfire the next day. It was the worst time in my life, and it was all because of my brother and my fear of the dark. So I planned to get even with him, spending weeks writing out various ideas and stories. Spending weeks writing out various ideas and storing them away in my closet to prevent unintended eyes from reading my notes. Every note Every night I'd think of better and better plans, going through at least 200 pages during that time. Must have been a month that went by when I was finally ready to get my revenge. So, on the weekend our parents left us alone at home while they were gone from town, I hid myself in the closet across from my brother's room, making sure to phone him before he got home from his girlfriend's house. I told him the power had gone out and that I'd been electrocuted very badly when I had tried to cut an exposed wire on the old TV in his room. I cried and made choking sounds as I had learned in drama class, and told him how I was scared and hurt, all because I had simply wanted to get revenge on him for his prank. I'm sure my lie worked, because he had run down the street and burst in through the front door only 10 minutes later. Then he bounded through the darkness up the stairs, tripping and knocking over things in the hallway, all thanks to my new knowledge of turning off the power breakers. He threw his door open and screamed into the darkness for me, yelling things like, "I'm here, I'll call an ambulance," and "I'm sorry I ever scared you," were some of my favorites. But I think the best part was when I emerged from the darkness behind him and turned on the flashlight. He spun around, and I could see tears streaming down his face. "You bastard," he shouted, and he gave me a tight hug. "I didn't think you'd do something so mean just to get revenge for a prank." I smiled at him, and then I pushed him away from me. "But that was just a prank of my own. This is the revenge part," I said as his eyes widened and he was pulled into the closet screaming. Now, to be honest, I was never afraid of the dark because of the stories my brother told me. I've only ever been afraid because he was right. I'd only been so terrified of my brother's prank because I had thought that it was the darkness coming to get me for failing to uphold my side of the bargain. I'd promised them that I would hand over my brother in exchange for them to stop tormenting my dreams. And before that moment, I'd been considering letting myself get taken in exchange for his safety. But I guess it was that prank that finally did it. Bravo. You instead got yourself taken by the monsters in the closet, brother. Maybe he'll find a way to get back at me from beyond the darkness, or maybe he's just been digested in a monster's belly. But all I know is that I'm still afraid of the dark. So I don't know how well that's going to go over, if anyone's going to like that format more or less. I'll probably go back to the old format unless this actually does well. So, good night.